Okay, welcome. We are here in the temporary chapel at Helias Catholic High School, and we are going to do the server training video for this chapel. And because it has certain parameters that we have to stay within. So basically what I want to initially talk about is the sanctuary area. That word sanctuary stems from the word sanctus, which is a Latin word which means holy. You know, in the Latin Mass, or sometimes Father Jones will hear, he'll sing, Sanctus, Sanctus. So it's holy, holy, holy. So the sanctuary is considered the holy area. And the reason that is considered the holy area, because the sacrifice of the Mass takes place on the altar. The Mass is the recreation, the memorialization of Calvary. So it's sometimes it'll be known as the unbloody sacrifice. So that's why this whole area is considered sacred. So one of the things we want to be aware of is, as servers, is our posture. So when a server sits, and of course this goes for the priest as well, it's a serious setting because it's a reverent place. So of course the priest would be in his chair, or the server, you know, like this, or like this, generally sit up straight and to be in a reverent position, okay? Just like any mature person would be for something reverent. And when we use the word reverence, we're speaking of, in other words, a holy respect for what's taking place in the Mass, and again, within the sanctuary. Okay, so we will start in the back as if we're processing in, and we'll do that now. So if we process in, this is the procedure that will go in. Sometimes we may have the server begin at his chair, okay, but this will model what it is to process in, okay? So the server and the priest will come forth before the altar, they'll bow. And the server will take his chair over here. The priest reverences the altar with a kiss. And then we begin the Mass, beginning the opening prayers. We'll have the reading. We'll have the responsorial psalm, the gospel, and then the homily. And then we'll move into the Eucharistic part of the Mass. That'll be after the petitions, okay? So after the petitions, then it's time to set the altar. So at this point, the server will go and bring the chalice first. It's known as the setting, because we have the corporal, which will be laid out, which is basically a cloth to be able to catch anything of the Eucharist if it should fall. And this is considered a pall, which covers the Eucharist while it's on. So we have the paten, which has the priest host on it. So the priest will say the prayers, put it down, and then he'll go to the chalice, and the server will bring the water and the wine. You'll notice when the server has the water and the wine, he has the handles pointing toward the priest. So you can just take the wine, pour it, and then the water. Of course, the importance of that is, if he hands it to me like this, and it's backwards, and I have to turn it, the priest has to turn it, of course you increase your chances of dropping it or something happening. So that's important to have the handles facing toward the priest. So then at that point, the server will go back to the credence table. The credence table is where the water and the vessels are kept. The priest blesses the chalice, the wine within the chalice. And then the server will returns with the lavabo, which is the set, is the cruet and the bowl. So, and then you'll actually have this, you'll do it yourself. So the server at this point will actually have the water cruet in his hands. He'll have it by the handle, and then he will pour it over the fingers, and the priest says the words, "Wash away my iniquities and cleanse me of my sins." And then he'll have the towel draped over his left arm, dry it with fingers, put it back, and then he'll go back to the credence table. Okay? So at that point, we continue with the Mass. And then when it's time to kneel for the Eucharistic prayer, obviously the congregation won't, because we don't have kneelers here, it's a hard floor. So the server will have a kneeler over here. Okay, so as the Mass progresses with the prayers, when it's time for the raising of the host, first we'll have the epiclesis, which is when the priest puts his hands out. That's a Greek word which means the calling down of the Holy Spirit. Okay, and then that he'll get one ring for that. Okay. As we move forward, when it's time to elevate the host, there'll be 3 rings. Okay. And then moving forward, when it's time to elevate the chalice, there's 3 rings as well. Okay. So at that point, after communion, then when it's time to distribute communion, the server can either stay kneeling, or stand and receive communion. And then the priest will go out front and distribute communion to the people. Okay, so then after communion, there'll be time to purify the vessels. So as you see most of the time at Mass, I'll have the paten, I'll take the remnants of the host, put it in the chalice, and then the server will come just with the cruet of water, again, handle out for the priest. He'll put water in the chalice, give it back to him, he'll return that. And the priest will continue to purify, consume the water and the remnants. That'll actually be gone. And then the priest will fold up the corporal, he'll put it on the pall, put it back, and then he'll set it like this, and then the server will take it again. As you notice, James had his one hand on the top, and then one hand wrapped around the base of the chalice, so it's secure. Then he sets it back. And then the priest goes to the chair and usually sits, and then we have the concluding prayer. Okay? So at this point, at the final prayer, if the server is going to recess with the priest, and after he reverences the altar, then the server and the priest will meet out in front of the altar, again bow, and then the server would lead him out.